The holy innocents of Bethlehem. In the days of Herod the Great's tyrannical reign, the first, though unsuspecting, martyrs of Christ were the tender babes of Bethlehem, whose innocent blood was shed in a desperate attempt to thwart the coming of the one true King. Though their lives were cut short, their deaths bore witness to the world's hatred of righteousness. These holy innocents, though their narrative questioned, stand as a pillar for those who were martyred in the name of Christ. Welcome back to Martyr's Row.
Martyr's Row.
Martyr's Row.
Martyr's
Paul, I have a surprise for you.
Okay.
Are you ready?
This is a surprise. Yeah, I'm ready.
You ready for a surprise?
No, let's go.
Paul doesn't even know this yet.
I don't. It's a
All right.
surprise.
Our first official sponsor of Martyr's Row, Gushers. Martyr's Row, brought to you by Gushers.
Doesn't that seem a little callous?
What do you mean?
Because of what we just read.
Why is that callous?
I don't
You like
know.
children's candy? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know where I was going with it.
Gushers, if you're out there, we would love to be sponsored by you.
Please sponsor us.
So
And Babbel, right?
we're already sponsored by that's the problem with Babbel.
I can say it in another language. Thank you, Babbel. But
I have a problem with Gushers.
you like them?
Well, my problem with Gushers is candy is bad for my teeth.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, all humans.
Just yours.
But mine, like, I can tell if I haven't eaten candy for a week,
Hmm.
my teeth feel different. Like,
Oh,
it's
interesting.
that immediate of a response.
Really?
Yeah. It's just the...
Do
yeah.
they just get more sensitive when you eat candy?
Yeah, and just, like, fall apart. They just,
You're
like,
brushing
come
your
out.
teeth and they're just like, oops.
Yeah, it's not great. But Gushers aren't exactly candy. So it's
More like wax.
yeah, it's like you remember those Coke bottle like wax things?
Oh, those are delicious.
buy-
Yeah. But only in my memory.
What do you mean they're okay?
In real life, they're not good.
No, because it's like, well, you can't even. First of all, you shouldn't eat the wax.
No, but I did.
You're supposed to just have what's inside.
Yeah, that never happened.
But how would you even? I can't even imagine.
It wasn't good. You couldn't make it through very many.
You're probably only supposed to eat one,
I think so.
or you eat like 20 of them. You just.
But I will say, Gushers, and thank you for sponsoring us.
Yeah.
It's one of those candies where it's like when you actually eat it.
it's not candy.
You're right. It's not
Gushers. not candy.
Technically. But it is one of those when you eat it, you're like, this shouldn't be this good.
Right.
But then you're just like, but I want to keep eating them.
I know it has like this response where my gums enjoy the process. It's like there's like something about biting down hard on something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. But like Gushers also they just keep surprising me because there's like
Well, I remember the last time you brought this up. You said you bought it was like a 20 pack of it, right?
oh no. Okay, so I hadn't had Gushers in a really long time.
Yeah, that's right.
And then I ordered a hat that was like this kind of boutique hat, and the guy had just decided that he was going to put a small pack of Gushers in every package.
So cool.
So then I had one, and I was like, well, now I have to go buy Gushers. And then I went to Sam's or Costco
Yeah,
and bought like a 50 pack of Gushers.
I love it.
And I ate like 5 packs every day.
Yeah. 'Cause I think
like 3 months.
I think you gifted me like a pack or two,
Maybe.
and it was amazing.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, they were incredible.
Yeah, because the problem is if you do eat too much, they like kind of cake up.
Yeah.
But honestly, it's fine.
It's one of those not candies
Yeah.
where you eat them one at a time and you
Right.
don't put like 4 in your mouth.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like, but the thing with Gushers though is, why they keep surprising me is because you don't realize how many flavor options of Gushers there are.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because like the classic, like if you just go to like Publix,
Yeah.
there's only like a couple options. It's like a tropical, and then like there's another flavor too.
To be honest, I didn't know there were that many options
Yeah.
even.
But then if you go to like, and this is true of most candy, if you
Not
go to
candy,
like,
yeah.
yeah, thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Because this is an ad for Gushers. If you go to
I can't wait for them
Gushers,
to watch this.
not candy.
Not candy.
If you go to like a gas station,
Yeah.
it's like
Your gums will love it. Not the gas station, the Gushers.
gas station, your gums will love it. No one's ever said that.
No.
But like it's true if you go to, and of course we're in Central Florida, so like if you go to the right gas station, you're gonna be like, what are these flavors? I've never seen any of these flavors anywhere in my whole life. And it's just like the most random things. But then there's like streamlined stuff. Like this is watermelon and sour apple.
Honestly, kind of a good combo.
It's a very good combo.
Yeah.
But then there at the gas station there's like a bunch of weird combos. But this is a combo you can actually get at Walmart.
What's the weirdest combo you've seen of Gushers?
Oh, I don't know. I would just be making it up.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I guess if you like
Gushers, what will it take for us to give you a flavor combination to try?
probably nothing.
Probably
Probably
not.
just this suggestion.
And they'll be like, that's good.
But I do feel like I'm not a huge coconut fan,
Yeah.
but I feel like a Gushers coconut flavor mixed with like a pineapple or something might be really good.
That could be kind of cool.
Like, because a pineapple, you'd add that sourness.
I feel like with coconut, though, I can, even if it doesn't have the texture when I taste it, I feel the texture.
Yeah. But if you do like coconut oil, like what if Gushers did like a
Oh.
real coconut oil with pineapple
That could be cool.
and also like potentially really healthy?
I want them to go weird with it.
What-
Like,
like
like
there's a
sweet
Whole
potato.
Foods option. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
I see.
sweet
Oh,
potato
that
and
would be-
carrots. Yeah.
Because it would like pop in your mouth.
You'd be like,
and
it's
like
carrot.
but it's a mystery package.
Yeah, it'd be kind of awesome.
So this episode of Martyr's Row is brought to you by Gushers.
Hopefully.
Gushers, not a
Not
candy.
Your gums will love it.
Okay, now that the ad's over, I was really close to ending that segment, but we have to talk about the
I
innocence.
feel like we could have right there. And it just been the whole thing was an ad.
But the good thing is it was an ad.
Yeah, it was.
But we have to talk about the innocence a little bit.
Yeah. Of Gushers.
Yeah, the Gushers innocence.
No, we really should talk about that because I think that's a surprise for a lot of people.
Yeah, sure.
And to be honest, it was for me a little bit when you brought up the idea.
Yeah.
But then the more we talked about it, I was like, actually, that's a great idea.
Well, and we talked last episode about John the Baptist.
Yes.
As kind of a bridge of like, he's not technically a Christian martyr, even though he's a saint of the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
But also, he is the last prophet and the first martyr.
Yeah.
But technically, according to the, if we add the innocents of Bethlehem in, then they're the first martyr.
Yeah.
And John was spared in the process,
True.
which is kind of interesting.
Yeah. All
So-
because his mom fled.
I mean,
Along
right.
with Jesus and his mom. Or
Yeah.
parents.
So John and Jesus both
Yeah.
fled. They were the only ones that survived.
Which is crazy to think about.
Which, have you thought about the idea of like, imagine growing up in your town,
Yeah.
right? And you and your cousin are the only ones who didn't get wiped out. So then you're in first grade.
Oh, so we'd be the only two that are that age.
You're the only two boys.
Yeah. Oh, true.
So in first grade in your hometown,
yeah.
it's just you and your cousin, and everybody else is women. And by women, I mean small girls that are in first grade.
Thank you for clarifying that. We almost lost our sponsorship deal right there.
This is not part of the ad.
No, we're done with that.
Although I'm not sure Gushers cares.
Maybe not.
General Mills might.
If they make a carrot and potato flavored Gusher,
How dare you? Now we just turn
I
on Gushers.
don't think they care. Yeah, that is a weird idea though.
right? Because
Yeah.
I like that, and we've talked also about how small Nazareth was.
Yeah.
Bethlehem is not a big city as well, and then Jerusalem, like it's all just like towns right next to each other, and they're really more like, the best way you can think about it actually is like we live in a like quote unquote small town right now, but there's neighborhoods that are the size of Nazareth.
That's how I was thinking about it. So it'd be like,
it's like a bunch of neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Like Nazareth.
So if the neighboring neighborhood got wiped out,
yeah,
but ours didn't.
Well, but it was the whole region. It was like
yeah.
that whole region.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So it's like a significant amount of people.
Yeah, it's not like it was just 5 people.
No.
It was a lot.
Yeah, which would be interesting to look at. Like, then that must mean that, does that put the disciples of Jesus in a slightly different age bracket?
I mean, it would mean that they were either younger or older, right?
Yeah, they couldn't be exactly the same age.
Right.
Because they would have been dead.
True.
Yeah. But we also don't know about the ones that didn't die, other than John and Jesus.
Yeah.
It's just a weird thing to think about, because we don't have a ton of information on that. And it's argued that there's not a whole lot of extra historical documentation of that instance in the book of Matthew.
True.
Where Herod wipes out
basically
a generation of males.
Which is that. Can we talk about that for just a second?
Yeah.
Because I find that interesting with the historical side of it.
Because of Egypt?
Well, I do laugh, not because of that, really.
You shouldn't laugh.
No. Well, I think it's a little funny because people will question its historicity.
Okay.
And they're like, well, because there's only one account of it. So, like, what other accounts? Like, well, we have one.
Right.
Which is the Bible. But because it's the Bible, people don't like it.
There's also a lot of other things, to your point, that we only have one account of.
Right.
And everyone just agrees on it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, Pontius Pilate's one of them. I mean, we have multiple because of the Gospels. But we have like a plate that has his name on it, or it might have been like a stone that we found.
That's right.
And they're like, oh, yeah, see, he is real. And it's like, yeah, the Bible's been saying he's real for a long time.
Yeah, we all believed it.
Yeah. Now everyone's like, okay, now that we have some actual.
Yeah, true.
So it's kind of an interesting idea.
Yeah.
Where we kind of discount it just because the Bible is the only thing that we found that said it so far. Yeah,
but again, it's like many oral traditions, but then like painstakingly, specifically as much as possible, held on to tradition of what is the canon today.
Yeah, true.
It's like the meticulous care that has been taken for it over thousands of years. It's like it's a little bit like, I don't know that, like in some ways we've talked about this a little bit, but like the Library of Alexandria, or now we know the Library of Pergamum as well. Which I never even realized until we talked about it.
Yeah, until you brought it up. Yeah.
Which is like basically the Bible is kind of the only ancient text that survived the whole thing.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because I'm pretty sure that the Septuagint, the Greek Old Testament, was written for the Library of Alexandria. It's how we have it.
Oh, interesting.
That it was commissioned to be part of that library.
Really?
That's what I believe is true.
Okay.
But
and therefore it is fact.
Don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was some rich guy somewhere that wanted all of the ancient knowledge in one library. That's how anything happens.
It's true. But that, I mean, even with that, because we're kind of on that vein right now of ancient knowledge in history, it is always fascinating to me. So, by the way, I love all the comments that you guys leave.
Yeah.
I know we both really appreciate it, and I love getting to go in and reply. For those that have received my replies, sometimes it can take me a few days. And a lot of it's because it's like I have to sit and then write a book, so I'm sorry for that. But
no,
I don't know how to give short replies sometimes.
I'm not.
Yeah. And one of the guys I've been commenting back and forth with right now, it is that interesting idea where he's got this question about the Trinity and like what's that doctrine? Where does it come from?
Okay.
And what's funny about it, and this was part of what I wrote in my response to him, was it's funny for us to look at it now and say, yeah, see, people made it up, and here's why. But then it's like, wait, well, hold on a second. It had to come from somewhere,
right?
And so let's just go ahead and read the Old Testament and be like, oh, well, there it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's funny how we can come up with ideas sometimes and be like, oh, see, that's where they made it up from, or that's where they got it from. But then if we just studied what ancients were saying, we realize, oh, there's actually more in here than we really gave them credit for.
What's the it's the Hero Israel, the Lord your God.
Yeah.
The Lord is God.
The Lord is one.
Yeah, the Lord is one.
Yeah.
It like the Shema or something. There's a Hebrew word for it.
Yeah.
That's the passage that they
I mean, they would write that. It's a mezuzah. I actually have one at my house.
Really?
Yeah.
And yeah, you put it.
Thanks, Mom.
You put it on your doorpost.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. So if you ever are like, you're walking up to a house and you're like, I wonder if they're Jewish. If they have a mezuzah on the doorpost,
they're either Jewish or me.
This is our new segment, Jewish or me.
Or me.
Brought to you by Gushers, not candy.
Potato and carrot.
So here's the thing.
Yeah.
This week, we brought you a new idea to study and to look up. And I think that's all we'll say on it.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
So the innocents of Bethlehem,
technically
the first group of martyrs.
In our canon, they are.
That never had a shot.
Or can we call it canon? That never had a shot. Honestly, envy. Because
true.
they didn't have a chance to mess it up.
Unless you're Augustinian.
That's true, and then...
Then hopefully covered by God's grace.
We're praying.
Well,
should we write a song?
We should write a song.
Okay.
This first segment brought to you by Gushers, specifically watermelon and sour apple flavor.
And the holy innocents of Bethlehem.
Yes. And I won't say the parent company because who knows what they're into.
They might not sponsor us.
Gushers, not candy. Your jaw's going to love it. 3, 2, 1. So we've had journeys here.
Yeah.
With the
band
songs,
Journey.
The band. We just had Journey here.
They were just here.
Yeah. Sorry they're not on the songwriting segment. We told them to leave. We had work to do.
Yeah, and they understood.
Yeah. They're avid listeners. But I think it's been a little while since we've done an actual like Martyr's Road jingle.
It's true.
I realized that like I was writing like a song, like verses, chorus, bridge, to the point where I was like, that wasn't really the original intent.
And I started just leaning into who did we just talk about?
Whatever the topic was, yeah.
Yeah, let's get into that.
Which is funny because after this segment is when we bring up the question.
Yeah.
So sometimes
it's kind of like a teaser.
Sometimes you've gotten full songs on the topic we're about to talk about. Yeah. And then we pretend like we didn't know what we were going to talk about.
That's actually my favorite part of the last segment.
Same.
Yeah. But yeah, it's funny actually. Someone asked me recently. They're like, "Oh yeah, I haven't listened to like the most recent. Did you guys ever land on a theme?" Or like, "You really haven't been listening?"
Oh, you listened to like 2 episodes.
Yeah.
We're in the 20s now, guys.
Yeah, we don't try.
Yeah. We've graduated.
Except for today.
We've almost graduated college, something like that.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I don't need no education.
Yeah, so I'm going to try something.
Okay.
I haven't fully done this yet, so it's kind of like every time we do these, it's like there's part of it that's like we want it to be a little messy.
Yeah. Just part of the fun.
Yeah, because otherwise it would take like several hours just to do this segment.
Yes. So
this is our way of doing it as quick as possible.
We do it once.
Oops, maybe we shouldn't have said that.
No, actually, I want to say that.
Okay.
For all the ones they've listened to.
Yeah. They're like, that's not.
They're like, you went with that take.
It was the only take. So you're welcome. So I'll try this and then we'll see what happens. Here we go. It is a long way down Martyr's Road. 2, 1. This time we're going to jump straight into the question.
That's new for us.
It is new for us.
And I like it.
I feel like some of it, though, is how we started out, and then we kind of evolved and have shifted back to it.
Yeah.
So let's refine.
Okay.
So I have a question for you
Going
tonight.
back to basics.
Back to the basics.
I'm
So
in.
before we pontificate more about it, and
we
then
will.
realize we
Yeah,
don't-
okay. Get to it.
Here we go. So straight to the question. Dear listener or viewer, I hope you're ready for this one. And if you're not, it's okay, because you're at the beginning of this part of the podcast, and by the end,
you'll be at the end of it.
You'll be at the end of it, and you're welcome.
Hopefully.
I don't know where you'll be, but like mentally and spiritually. And I'm starting to do what you do, blend the words together.
Isn't that crazy?
I still haven't asked the question.
We're terrible.
All right, so here's the question. Without further ado, here's the question.
Okay.
Paul, do near-death experiences prove universalism?
It's a big question.
It's honestly, it's the biggest question we've asked. Like,
I think so. Yeah. No, honestly.
There's so much in it.
Yeah. And honestly, a lot of things we haven't really touched on.
Sure.
So, those that see the title of the episode and be like, yeah.
Yeah.
So some people would be like, what are near-death experiences? Like,
Yeah.
what does that mean?
Well, hopefully everybody right now is just eating Gushers.
You better be.
Yeah. Just pause the podcast and go get Gushers.
Now you're ready for the podcast.
But near-death experiences.
Yeah.
Because we have asked questions in the past that are like intentionally loaded or intentionally like, hey, this question is actually categorically wrong.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
let's fix it in the process.
Yeah.
But this one, it introduces topics that like we've kind of walked towards.
Yeah.
But like, I mean,
We haven't officially touched on.
Yeah. Like what is like near-death experiences?
Well, so I was going to say, before I answer that,
Okay.
I want to ask you, what is universalism? I'm going to turn it back onto you.
Okay.
Because I'm about to talk for a long time.
Okay. So you want me to talk first?
I want you to talk first.
Okay. Well, I did ask you the question.
That's true.
So
and I'm pulling a Jesus on you.
I'm pulling a Jesus on you.
Where I ask the question, ask her a question.
Fair enough. I understand. I understand how Jesus works, Paul. Just kidding. No one does.
No.
I mean, not fully.
Only in part.
That's a whole other question.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Okay. So what is universalism? So there's it's a historical prominent heresy of the Christian church.
Put simply.
So let me just start there. Mainly because like what I was about to say would have been potentially problematic without that setup.
Okay. Yeah.
Because essentially what universalism is as a theology or as a worldview, which is more true. I don't know how many students of, let me see, I don't know how many active Christians, like daily life Christians versus philosophical theologians, which are two different categories sometimes. Because there's a lot of studying. There's a lot of people that study theology that are not Christian.
True. Yeah, true.
Because it's a discipline. It's
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like they might be led to Christ in the process, but
Yeah.
Anyways, I think you find more universalism in the philosophical theology camp versus the practical daily life Christian, like the single mom with 3 kids. You know what I mean? Like universalism's not really part of their life.
It's not even something they've probably even heard of most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily like a Sunday morning topic.
No.
Unless your church's name is Universalism.
Then it's probably a core.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is essentially like a all dogs go to heaven idea.
Yeah, honestly, good callback too.
It's essentially, yeah, universalism is basically the idea that all roads lead to Rome, right? All roads lead to heaven.
Or as Finding Nemo says, all drains lead to the ocean.
There you go. Yeah. So universalism is the idea that God's grace covers all things and that any reflection of God in any separate culture is all actually pointing to the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a big melting pot where we all just kind of see different aspects of the one true God, and it all kind of as a collective comes together.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it can philosophically get confusing.
Sure.
And we're probably going to get in touch on that a little bit too.
Yeah.
Because there's elements that it takes and bases off of that are true, but I argue are taken out of context.
Yeah, and I went really broad intentionally because the fact is there is a version of universalism that is intentionally disciplined in a way where people that are active studiers of theology and not just like lay people, like just church attenders, that, you know, people that are maybe more academic. There are people that I've known that are in this category that it's like they're hung up on something.
Yeah.
And usually it's a person that they know that causes them to then, or an experience that they've had. Yeah. That causes them to say, well, I feel like my viewpoint ends up landing in a universalism. Yeah. Eschatology or end times view. Because of, like, I could actually pinpoint it, like,
because of this reason,
this person, this idea, this experience that I had. Yeah. And I think most of that comes down to a situation that you've actually encountered. Like, I think a lot of our core theology is shaped by that specifically.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I was in high school, and some might laugh.
I remember it too.
You remember me being in high school?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
No.
I believe it, though. And having conversations about Arminianism and Calvinism.
I didn't have this idea in high school.
I was a weird kid. I've always had this obsession with theology, apparently. But
that's awesome. Like in church or in high school?
Both.
Well, you were homeschooled.
Yeah, and then I did like this co-op, like
that's why,
like semi-private schoolish thing.
Okay.
It's a hard thing to explain.
Yeah.
But so like I would have that with my teachers, and I have that with my friends.
Yeah.
It was just a conversation that was ongoing for about a year.
Like the high school that I went to was a public high school, literally named after the city we live in.
Yeah, so
I went to the most public high school possible.
That was not even a topic.
Like, if you just name the name of our city, that's where I went to high school.
That's it.
Which is like, that's like the most like public high school you can get.
Yeah.
So I went to the most public high school.
I love that.
So no one was talking about that.
That's fair. Which, I mean, I understand. It's a unique experience.
Even the philosophy students weren't there.
They were like, no.
No, yeah. They were more, they would be more, what would you call it? Like
Socratic?
More, yeah.
Aristotelian?
Yeah.
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 Which, I mean, is still an interesting place to be. Pescatarian? They don't eat fish, or they
No.
or they only eat fish?
Both.
Both. Depends on what day you ask them.
Yeah, probably. High school kids, I mean.
Dude, it's fickle.
Flip-flop.
But yeah, I remember because a lot of people that I would talk to about this, I'm talking about adults specifically.
Yeah.
They would otherwise be a Calvinist, but there was one question that they wrestled with that forced them to be an Arminian.
So we haven't
Does
had
that make
this.
sense?
It does. We haven't had this discussion, though.
And I don't really mean to get into that at all. You know, because I mean, it's like it's not the point of this today.
Yeah.
And
should we do like a Calvin Arminian conversation?
I guess we could. I'm in a weird place because I feel like I've got problems with both of them.
I think we should all have problems with everything.
Oh, honestly, I know what you're saying though.
Like there's a middle ground.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of it is like this. Anytime you go, this is the doctrine that we believe in. It's named after a guy.
Yeah.
There's going to be some problematic stuff.
Pause for a second.
Yeah. So I think for me, it's like, anytime that happens, it's like, there's probably some good stuff in there. But I think we all probably land somewhere in the middle of that. Yeah. Right. And yeah, that's so just to say it simply, there was the early church in Acts that eventually becomes the Catholic Church that in like 1050 breaks off Eastern Orthodox and Catholic Church. And then somewhere in the 1500s, you have the break off of the Catholic Church, where the Eastern Orthodox is still going. There's also like Ethiopian Church over here as well. But then like just the generic, like kind of how probably most people listening to this, where their tradition would be. Then you have like the Catholic Church in the 1500s breaks off with Martin Luther into Protestantism, which at that time basically becomes the Anglican Church, which is a precursor to like the Methodists and the Lutherans and the Wesleyan tradition, the Great Awakening in the 18 and 1900s, that comes over into the U.S. And then most of the U.S., like the Western Church, is Protestant, which would be that break off of the Catholic Church.
And a lot of them would call themselves Puritans at that time. Yeah.
Yeah, and so at the time of Martin Luther, you also have John Calvin.
Yeah.
And so you have basically after the Protestant break off of Catholics, then Protestantism breaks off into free will and predestination.
Yeah.
So that's the Calvinist versus Wesleyan view, really. But
right.
But that's kind of like, yeah. So that's a little bit of like a really fast church history.
Quick church history.
That's
Crash
pretty
course.
good, though, right?
Yeah, it was good. Crash course.
Maybe we should do a whole episode on that and break that down. Or
kinda
maybe
the history of it could be kind of fun.
Or maybe
actually.
that was enough.
I feel like I'm good.
I do want to go into like at some point the Eastern Orthodox break off.
It's within the scope of our podcast to talk about those kinds of things, though.
Yeah.
As far as church history go.
Just say no, please don't do that in the comments.
Or say yes, please do that.
Or say nothing and we'll keep going.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah, so like that's kind of where we are church history wise. So
yeah.
And I think most people also I think we're doing a decent amount of setup intentionally.
Yeah.
To kind of go like, I think for the most part it's like pre-IKEA, well, and then even with IKEA, it's like you just kind of went like a couch is a couch. It just kind of exists. You don't realize that like somebody had to like shape every part of it, design every piece of it. It had to be torn down or put together, or like it didn't just come as one thing.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we go like, well, I grew up in church, or I went to church and I just got here and this is what's always been here. Yeah. It's like, no, I mean, there's at least 18 to 1900 years of like organization and then separation, organization and separation. And there's a bunch of things happening all at once. So I think we just kind of go like now and early church. Everything else in the middle is just like didn't happen. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think it's important sometimes to be like, hey, there's a bunch of stuff that happened that got us to where we are. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and acknowledging like the age of certain things. It's like,
and I think with a lot of them, kind of bring it back into universalism. It's it a lot of it stems from there's a question people are wrestling with.
Sure.
And this is a conclusion for what they've wrestled with.
Yeah.
Or a conclusion of where they're wrestling at.
Yeah, which would be like, I mean, a good example is like if someone knows somebody who they potentially struggle with something outwardly that's listed in the Bible as a sin. Yeah. Like, let's just go straight to that. Yeah. And they're like, this person is the most loving person that I know. They're like, they're great. They still like, you know, they still like love Jesus. They read their Bible. Yeah. They do all that. But most of the church would say that they're actively in sin. Right. And you're like, okay, well, there's still something to reconcile there, because that could also be true of a bunch of people that maybe have something just as big or maybe worse that's more hidden than out in public, right? Absolutely. And so then because what they're dealing with is a public and worldly conversation and the culture is talking about it, then all of a sudden you kind of go like, well, I feel like I know them pretty well, and I feel like God wouldn't damn them to hell. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then that a lot of times can lead you to something like universalism. It's true. Where you're like, I just can't reconcile that the Lord wouldn't save them. Yeah. And then I feel like once you get to that point, though, like salvation doesn't carry as much weight anymore. Like if you're truly a universalist and it really would be your eschatology. Yeah. Yeah. Which is your belief on what happens at the end. Yes. So like what you believe happens at the end is the theological terminology would be eschatology.
Yeah.
Or end time study. So it's like that type of thing. It's like what you believe happens at the end is that grace covers everybody. That's but then you're kind of like, then you have to like poke at people with universalism and go like, so you believe that every single person, no, just the good ones. What qualifies that?
Yeah.
There has to be a qualifier for that. It's not just people that you think, because then you're the judge.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a difficult thing with.
It's difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I think and it's one where I think it's easy for a lot of people, especially when it comes to universalism, to kind of tie up this last bit of this, is we can get callous and look at it as a blanket thing, be like, oh yeah, you're wrong, this is what it says, let's move on. Right. And it's like, well, you can't be that callous, because here's someone who's actively wrestling with an idea, so let's go in there and let's wrestle with the idea together.
Yeah.
And I think that's the right response. In the same way we were talking about with like the Nicolaitans recently. It's like, it's not right for us to point and be like, oh, you're wrong because of this. And it's like, no, let's go wrestle with that together.
Right.
That's what the church does.
Yeah.
That's discipleship.
Well, and that's where like when Jesus says they'll know you by your love for one another. Yeah. That doesn't mean you're accepting of everything. It's like, that's not what love is. Like love means that you're working things out together. Yeah. And you're like working on things together. You're intentionally trying to grow and get better and conform not to your truth, but to the reality of the gospel. So like that is one thing where like there is a lot of concessions you have to make if you hold a universalist theology, or eschatology, because it is things like, well, then what are the barriers? It's like, well, then there are no barriers. But then once you start going down that rabbit trail, it's a little bit like, well, at some point you end up back at worship no other gods beside me. And I feel like if you have an end times theology or worldview or belief that everybody, no matter what, is covered by the grace of God and they're just going to be taken in, at some point when you back up, your theology is going to be laced with worship, and it's going to end up being accepting of worship to other gods, because it just is. I don't know how else to say that. Does that make sense?
No, it does. I mean, because what you're saying is, at some point you've got to answer the question: is everything that God said really it, or can I accept anything anybody says?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, because I mean, there are hard lines that the Bible draws, and so we've got to ask, like, well, how hard are those lines? And if those lines are softer, then it's like, well, then you can go outside of them.
Yeah, and specifically if you've come to a universalist eschatology because of someone that you know that you feel like loves Jesus, and well, their sin may potentially be the worship, the outward expression of the worship of another deity.
Yeah.
And that's where you're like, well, how do you judge that?
Yeah.
It's like, well, against the word. Like that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah. So like there are things like that where it's like you start to get into bigger topics and you're like, well, what is, like, where does this come from? It's like, yeah, I don't know how political we want to get, but like there are certain things like that are like down line.
You got to identify it at some point.
Yeah, it's like you kind of grab it and go like, all right, well, that down line was done as a worship. It was used to worship the god Molech. Right. And you're like, well, okay, but that's not what they're doing. But where did it come from?
Yeah.
And if that's the tradition of it, then like you can't redeem a tradition of an action that is worshiping another god. Yeah. I don't think there's redemption in that.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. Yeah.
Like I understand if you believe that let's say R&B music came specifically from an African tribe that was using that specific sound of music to worship a demonic deity, right? which that's a very loaded statement. But if you believe that, which most people do, like that's kind of historically the origin of where it came from. But then you jump all the way to now and you go like, okay, well, that was like 50, 60 years ago. And you go, but now some kid just in his room has a 808 pad and is just like making a beat and then singing lyrical worship to God. Is like, do I believe that is worshiping that deity? To be honest, I don't really know.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that's a little bit different than like killing a baby. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So at no point does where killing a baby was a sacrifice to a false god.
Yeah.
Killing a baby today, you can't redeem. That's not eventually going to be a sacrifice to Yahweh.
Yeah, and I think the other thing we can compare that to is like, what's the framework that God outlines for us?
Right.
And I remember I've said this on a previous episode, but I think it's worth saying again, where when we look through I'll say the Hebrew Bible, we look through the Old Testament,
okay.
there's a huge distinction between how the Hebrew mind thought and how the Greek mind thinks or thought, and how we think.
Right.
Our thoughts are why and what, but
Yeah.
the Greek mind or the Hebrew mind was how.
Yeah.
And so when we see like, well, what does God do in the Old Testament? He never says, this is what I'm doing, this is why I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Those things are in there, but he demonstrates it by showing you how he does it.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, well, God doesn't just say, I'm faithful. He is.
Right.
But he shows that he's faithful. He doesn't just say, I enact justice or judgment. It's like he shows you that he does.
Right.
And he shows you why he does that. But it's all the question of asking how.
Yeah.
And so when we think about that, let's just say like the killing of a baby. And it's like, well, does that fit within the framework of how God has demonstrated who he is?
Right.
Well, it doesn't.
Right. And there's a lot of specific examples of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, going back to Abraham and Isaac.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's a lot of people use that passage as like, see, what kind of God would tell Abraham to sacrifice his baby? Molech.
All of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually.
Yeah. All of the other gods.
Yeah.
You know which God stopped him and said, hey, by the way, I'm different.
I don't actually want you to do that.
Only Yahweh.
Yeah.
He's the only one.
Yeah.
So actually what you're saying as a
Well,
how
what's
would you
funny,
worship
on top
Yahweh?
of that, it's like, this is the funny thing that's within the framework of who Yahweh is he didn't just say, no, stop, I actually don't want that.
Yeah.
He said, no, here's the sacrifice that I do want.
Yeah.
So it not only says like, hey, that's what everyone else is telling you. I'm saying, no, that's not it.
Right.
I'm saying this is what I want instead.
Yeah. Yeah. And as a precursor to like, eventually there won't be sacrifices.
Right.
But this is step one.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like all the other gods, they're telling you sacrifice the most precious thing to you. I just told you to do that, and that was super normal to you.
Yeah.
The problem is nobody knows the history of that. So they just
True.
go, how could you worship a God who would tell the guy to sacrifice his own son? Okay, so you don't know anything about history.
Because that wasn't weird for Abraham to hear that.
It wasn't weird for Abraham to do that.
Yeah.
Also, what you're saying is who he is.
Yeah.
He's the God who doesn't ask you to do that.
Yeah.
Like, that's actually the whole point of the story.
Yeah.
So you don't know the history of the context of the world they lived in.
Yeah.
And what was going on culturally, which is not much different today, and what Yahweh was doing as a how in the middle of that. Here's how you worship me.
Yeah.
You think it's like this because that's what that's what everybody does.
Yeah.
But it's not that, it's this.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. So it's a beautiful concept, and that's what I love. But I think it's important for us to approach Scripture that way.
Right.
Because we have to think how it was written.
Sure.
Who is it written to? That's how they're thinking. That's how we're supposed to think about it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more I could say on that, but
yeah.
Let me answer the other side of this.
Okay.
NDEs, near-death experiences.
Yeah.
So there's an important thing in this, and so I'm gonna explain what it is, But I'm also going to explain 2 other things and what those are.
Okay.
Within that, only to help us identify and narrow in, like, what do I mean when I say near-death experience?
And then after 2 other things, 4 other things, followed by 6 other things.
You're not wrong.
So get your notebooks out.
Because I've got mine out.
Martyr's Row.
I used up the rest of this notepad writing all my notes for this.
I'm here for it.
So what I want to start with before I describe or define what an NDE is, I'm just going to call it that because it's much easier.
Yeah.
First, I want to explain.
We have acronyms for a reason.
We do. Easier.
Sure.
Oftentimes these things get confused, and that's why I'm like, let's define them now.
Do it.
So the first one is an OBE, or an out-of-body experience.
Out-of-body experience.
Yeah, and let me say this as well.
Okay.
There's a lot of setup for this, since we haven't talked about this before.
True.
This is going to sound weird.
Good.
To the people that don't already look into this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
To most people listening, this is all like, that's weird.
Yeah, why would you even be talking about this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think it's important, and actually it's funny, I slipped it into one of our songs several episodes ago.
Okay.
And I was curious to see how it would, I mean, at this point when we're recording, no one's heard it yet.
They don't know that.
They don't know. You have heard it. But so
or this is your first episode and you've heard nothing we've done.
So welcome.
Yeah. Glad you're here.
Glad you're here.
Grab your notebooks.
Are you still here?
And your gushers.
And your gushers.
Not candy. Your jaws will thank you later.
Your gums will love it.
Your gums will love it.
Did we say gums or jaw?
I don't know. It's all the same
One
thing.
of them. Yeah.
No, they're different.
Yeah.
OBE. Out of body experience.
Well, first,
okay.
I wanted to say that the line that I slipped in was soul colliding with the body.
Oh, yeah.
And so...
Was that also like the Death Cab feel?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So I don't know if I caught... I think I did catch it a little bit, but I was also like, this is very like soul meets body.
Yes.
Death Cab.
Which was kind of an ode to that, but in a very biblical way.
Yeah.
And so the Bible teaches that we're soul, mind, and spirit.
Yeah.
Sorry, body and spirit.
Right.
I said 3 things. They were all And so when we look at that, it's like, okay, so I'm going to use more worldly language here and say there's a consciousness.
Okay.
Or we Christians would say there's a soul or spirit.
Right.
And then the other side is our body, our physical body that we operate every day.
Yeah.
and so
some would call it a meat suit.
A meat suit. Yeah. And so there is a distinction between those 2 things.
Yes.
And so what is being described in these experiences is a separation between those 2 things.
Yeah. And we often think of that as like 3 or 4 things.
Yeah.
But it can kind of be broken. It can kind of be brought all down to 2 things.
Yeah. Some would argue with that and say there's actually 3.
Yeah.
Which that's a whole other conversation.
Right. And one
right now we're just focusing on 2.
Yes. Yeah. Right. Let's pretend tonight that it's 2 things.
Yeah. For the sake of this conversation.
Yeah.
So there's our body, our meat suit that we're controlling, and then there's our soul or our consciousness,
right,
that exists apart from our body, but is possessing our body.
Right.
And so an out-of-body experience is a self or consciousness separating from the physical body, and it may occur spontaneously or be induced. So those are experiences that can just kind of happen.
Yeah.
Or we can force them to happen. We can force ourselves out of our body.
Sure.
And I know that a lot of people are like, when they hear that. And so I do want to say, I'm going to jump a little bit.
Well, it's scary to say you could be forced out of your body.
It is scary.
Versus you can
choose it.
Choose to, yeah.
Yeah. And even with that, there are important factors in that we will talk about.
Yeah.
But first, I always want to base this against our anchor, which is the Bible.
Yes. And
so, okay, do we see examples of an OBE in the Bible?
An out-of-body experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we do.
Yeah.
And so the one that I specifically have, we see it in Isaiah, we see it in Daniel, but specifically the one that I have is Ezekiel 8:3. And it says, "The Spirit lifted me up between earth and heaven, and in visions of God he took me to Jerusalem He took me to Jerusalem. That's the end of that. And so we see it's like he says he's taken up. He's lifted up between earth and heaven. So he's in this weird middle place.
Yeah.
So he's out of his body.
Which, in some ways, and we can get to this later.
Yeah.
We could also categorize that as the second heaven.
Yes.
So if you've ever thought about first heaven, second heaven, third heaven, no seventh heaven, just 3 heavens. The second heaven would be that present and spirit only, body disconnected.
Yeah.
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 So.
Yeah. And so I'll get into that later. Actually, I want to save that.
I know.
So the other one that I'm going to describe before I get to near-death experiences, deathbed experiences.
Deathbed experiences.
And so those are reported by dying individuals shortly before death. Before death often. It often involves visions of deceased loved ones or spiritual beings, most common in hospice or end-of-life settings, sometimes witnessed or partially shared by others, which they call shared death experiences. And so I think the most shining example we see of this, and I chose that word for a little bit of fun,
okay,
is the stoning of Stephen in Acts 7.
Yeah, there you go.
Where it's like, okay, he sees heaven opening up, and he sees divine beings in front of him. So it's like that's the deathbed experience. That's what he's seeing. We see that in Scripture.
Yeah.
And he's not the only one. He's just I think the best example.
Yeah. Yeah, I also think of the shepherds on the hillside, which that's a whole different thing, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, that is.
Right? It's like the veil is being pulled back for them.
Yeah.
They're not necessarily entering into it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's almost on both ends.
It's kind of like slightly different.
It is.
Yeah. But there is that idea of like you're being opened up, the veil is being thin or torn.
Yeah.
So you can see into that other world.
But you know, as we've like gone through these different martyrs and things like that, if you look at old paintings and imagery of martyrdom, a lot of times you'll see, not just with Stephen, but you'll see with other paintings and depiction that as a saint is being killed, that a lot of times it's depicted that it's almost like there's a heavenly thing that they only can see.
Yeah.
So it's almost like there's this alluding to the idea that when you die for Christ, then you see heaven and you're at peace as you're dying.
Yeah. And it's
almost
common,
like the door opens.
Yeah, in a lot of the martyrs.
Right.
And it's also common for a lot of people that die and go to heaven.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a loaded statement, but yes.
It is. It is. Yeah, yeah.
Die and go to heaven is a very
there's a lot
2D.
There's a lot to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very 2D description that we use often.
It's true. There's a lot of things that we say for simplicity but isn't theologically correct.
Yeah. And is much more complex than that.
Yeah. We're trying to keep it easier as we can.
Yeah.
While also diving into it.
Right.
But so that brings us to NDEs. So how are these different than those other two?
Near-death experiences.
Near death, yeah.
Right.
So these are experienced by people who have come close to clinical death but survived, usually triggered by cardiac arrest, trauma, drowning, severe illness, or surgical complications. So essentially, they almost died, but they didn't.
Right. Yeah.
And the biggest one that I want to bring up with that is we see with Paul in Acts 14 at his stoning.
Okay.
Which I don't know if you want to talk about that at all.
But are we here?
We're kind of there
without
actually fully being there. But it's kind of like, okay, that's our biblical anchor in this isn't just something people are talking about today. I think it's important to be like, this is happening because people are talking about it.
Sure.
And there's a lot of reports on it.
Sure.
But for us Christians out there, it's also anchored in the Bible because the Bible talks about it. It doesn't use those words, obviously.
Yeah.
But these concepts and ideas are shared with people today and people then. Yeah.
And that's like, do you have anything else you want to like define before because when we're talking about this, I'm like, I do want to talk about Acts.
Okay.
Because
I can keep going a little bit when we come back to it.
Yeah, let's give more of the setup.
Okay. Yeah.
Just because like the Paul conversation is, it's maybe something that people didn't realize was happening or realized was a viewpoint of what did happen.
Yeah.
So like maybe let's continue to set it up and then we
Okay.
can get into Paul.
Okay, that's good.
Because there's actually a precursor to this that is a little bit more biblically overarching.
Yeah, I think so.
Do you know what I'm...
I have an idea, but I don't know exactly where you're going.
Okay,
which
continue
is
with the setup.
That's part of the fun with this.
Continue with the setup.
So kind of jump into our question is, do near-death experiences prove universalism? So let me kind of bring up, where does that question come from?
Sure.
Because it's like, it obviously comes from somewhere.
Yeah.
Like many things.
Right.
And so when we talk about these cases of near-death experiences, percentage-wise, there are things that people see and experience that are most common, and then some things that are uncommon.
Yeah.
And then some things that we would call anomalous. And so with that, the vast majority, I would say, is of those that are reported, the percentage I often see is around 80%.
Of what?
Of people that have near-death experiences.
Okay.
They report feeling this overwhelming sense of love, peace, and comfort.
Okay.
Whereas around 20%,
Yeah.
report feeling this like hellish experience.
Sure.
So that right there is actually, in some ways, challenges the question of universalism.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
But it's like, okay, so but that's where that idea comes from. And if we focus on that 80% first, around 80%, it's like, okay, so they're experiencing something, and it's overwhelmingly positive.
Right.
So it's like, okay, well, let's look at that. Like, what are they experiencing?
Yeah.
Before we get into the other side.
Yeah, so we're saying 80% of people who have near-death experiences report back that they had an overwhelming sense of love, and the place that they were in was better than the place that they had come from.
Yeah.
So what are their experiences like?
Good question.
Thanks.
Yeah, so I think for me, it's like, so that's the feeling that they get.
Sure.
So me being me, I'm like, okay, so what did they see?
Okay, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so about 75% report seeing a being or beings.
Okay.
And about 25% don't report seeing a being.
Okay.
So here's what I want to make very clear in this right now. And this is kind of like this weird, like, going back to Aristotelian logic.
Okay.
A little bit is like, okay, what's a contradiction?
Sure.
So because it isn't reported, doesn't mean it wasn't there. It just means it wasn't reported.
Yeah, of course.
Now, there is a distinction if they're like, oh, there wasn't anyone there.
Right.
But then there's also a difference to say, like, I didn't see anything, or they just don't bring it up.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, let's keep that in mind.
Yeah.
But even then, it's like, okay, so an overwhelming majority, again, say they see something.
Right.
So what do they see? And so these are approximate percentages based on these cases.
Okay.
And some of these percentages will overlap because people see multiple beings sometimes.
Right.
So about 60% see a being of light.
Okay.
A non-specific being of light.
Yeah.
30% report seeing deceased loved ones. Around 20% report seeing Jesus specifically. 10% angels, 20% spirit guides, about 10% scribes, and 5% dark beings, or malicious or malintent beings.
Even within the 80%?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which is interesting.
It is interesting. Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah. So here's where it gets a little bit interesting.
Okay.
Is
more interesting.
It just keeps getting more interesting.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that a lot.
Okay.
Because I think it just gets more and more interesting.
Keep going.
So I should probably stop saying that.
No. Because right now what we're talking about is essentially modern people having these experiences and them clinically being reported.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
So
what's more interesting? Just keep going on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's a hypothesis that people put forward, a lot of researchers put forward.
Okay.
And I will say at the front here, I guess we're not totally at the front anymore,
no.
but we're kind of in it.
Yeah.
that this is something that it isn't. There's not a lot of research really done on this specifically
Okay.
because it's a fringe topic.
Sure.
And fringe doesn't mean it's not true. It just means that it's not accepted by the mainstream.
Yeah, there's not a lot of money put into it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a lot of independent research
Right.
and not a lot of funded research in this.
Or it's funded research that the public doesn't know about
That's true.
until 50 years later.
Yeah. True. Very true.
You know?
That happens a lot.
Yeah, it's like, there's a bunch of CIA documents of different things like
Ooh.
this where it's like,
Yeah.
okay, they are studying it. They're just studying it for
Their own
potentially
purposes.
really weird reasons.
Yeah. And we'll find out about it in about 50 to 60 years.
Yeah, and then at that point, somehow we won't care about it.
Yeah, because they'll be doing something weirder.
But the fact is it's because we don't really understand it.
That's true.
It's hard to care
Yeah.
about something you don't understand.
That's very true.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, what's more interesting?
So what's the next thing that's more interesting?
Okay.
Well, the hypothesis that a lot of these researchers put forward, and some of it is biased.
Yeah.
I'll say it's like the majority of these people that have done this research have a bias that they're trying to promote.
Okay. That makes
And
sense.
so for me, it's like when I
They
look
have a
at this,
goal
it's
in
like,
mind.
yeah, it's like who's gonna help try to eliminate their bias the best that they can.
Yeah.
And there's very few that do that.
Yeah, sure.
Even the people that write their experiences, it's
Yeah.
like even they have a bias in what they're trying to say. And so with
Yeah.
that, what I mean by that is that there's an argument that your near-death experience, your NDE, is shaped by your worldview or religion.
Mm.
So if you're a Muslim, then you're going to see Allah. If you're a Buddhist, you're going to see Krishna or
Yeah.
Vishnu.
Yeah.
And if you're Christian, you're going to see God or Jesus.
Do you have an interesting example?
Of that?
The opposite.
Oh, the opposite. I do, actually. We're about to get into a lot of that.
Okay. How much?
Well,
Just
so...
tell me one.
Well, let me get into there.
Okay.
Let me build up to that. And so, because I actually have an argument based on what I've seen
Okay.
in this, and there's a lot to look into.
Gotcha.
There's only so much time in a day.
I know. I know.
And so I disagree with that argument, and I think that our interpretation or their interpretations of their NDEs are shaped by the worldview. So I'm actually saying the reverse.
Oh, the clinical explanation of the data that they're taking down from the individuals
Yes.
is shaped by the data tracker's worldview,
Well, it's by the person giving the story.
which is potentially not the NDE.
The person who had the NDE.
Okay.
So and so my
You're saying like in the form of a parable, like they're just trying to express it.
they're trying to tell you what they saw,
Right.
and they're going to use the language that they know.
Got it. So it's shaped by the language they have.
Yes. In the same way, let's take Revelation.
Okay.
John is describing what he's seeing
Right.
in his vision,
Right.
his OBE, his
Yeah.
out-of-body experience.
Right.
He's telling you what he's seeing based on what he knows.
Yeah.
And what does he know? Well, he knows the Old Testament.
Sure.
And so that's why we see all these parallels with Daniel and Isaiah and Ezekiel and other parts of Scripture. It's like, well, because he's just telling you what he can compare it to.
Yeah.
And so that's what he knows best to describe what he's seeing.
Yeah.
Does that mean that's what he saw? Maybe.
I mean, it makes the most sense
Yeah.
that is what he saw, or it's the lens that he's not the lens, but it potentially is what he saw because of the true nature of all of that information.
Possibly. But when we take into account like the symbolic nature of it,
Sure.
it's
I see
like,
what you're saying.
well, if I see something, it's like I really don't know what that is.
Yeah.
But let me give you the closest thing that would symbolize what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So if I see something that's bright light, and actually we'll talk about this. There's an interesting verse about that.
Okay.
It's like, well, I'm going to say it's white.
Sure.
Was it white? No. But that's the best I can do.
Yeah. And that
You know
makes
what I mean?
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think that when...
Well, and white, to be fair, is the reflection of all colors.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's kind of the most complete idea.
Yeah.
Like if there is a white light, what you're experiencing is the non-absorption of color,
Right.
which is...
Yeah. But even that, it's like, it's interesting because it's like, well, is it that? Well, that's how we best understand it, but that's not really what it is.
Yeah, but it's
You know what I mean?
in the way that it's more true to say it's not white. It's not absorbing any color. It's reflecting all colors.
Yeah.
So it's reflecting all things.
Yeah.
Versus being the color white.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah, sure. So it's like that's kind of where I'm going at with this, where it's like, so if someone is a Muslim and that's their background,
right,
when they see a being of light, they're going to assume that it's Allah.
Sure.
Does that mean that's who that was? No.
Right.
But that's how they'll best describe it, because that's what they know.
Yeah.
That's the lens that they're viewing this experience from.
I see what you're saying.
So I think that's what we see oftentimes.
Yeah.
And so with this, so there's a website called NDERF.
Okay.
Or NDERF, some people say. Basically, it's Near-Death Experience Research Foundation.
Got it.
And there are close to 6,000 cases or reports on there.
Yeah.
Of like near-death experiences, out-of-body experiences, and other forms that are similar.
Okay.
And some deathbed experiences that people share.
Yeah.
And the problem with that, because that's where we get a lot of these reports from people, even outside of that research, is it's just people posting.
Sure.
So it's like, okay, do we really know if these people are credible?
Yeah, I get that.
Not really. But what can we do? Well, we can look at the core of what are most people saying.
Yeah.
And so that's where I think some of the best research is done, is let's not take everyone at face value. Let's look at all of them.
Yeah.
Or the most that we can and stand.
Yeah.
And let's compare them against each other. Which ones are actually, what are the commonalities between them?
Sure.
And what are the anomalies in those?
Yeah.
Because, for example, you'll have someone say one thing and then the person say the very opposite of that. But there's only one of each.
Right.
So like, well, what do you do with that?
Right.
It's like, well, most of the time you just kind of throw it out.
Sure.
Or you question it at the very least.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, so the interesting thing I think with these examples is there's a lot of speculation in what it could be. And I heard recently this one guy who specifically goes and researches and analyzes and has conversations with people that have had NDEs, and he documents them directly.
Yeah, I love that.
So that's a little bit different than like an anonymous post.
Yeah.
And
I mean, a lot of people do write their names to it, which is nice. But
yeah.
Again, it's like we're not diving into like, okay, who exactly is this person?
But he tells a story of a guy who did grow up Muslim, that the experience that he had was he was like, basically he was on the edge of this cliff, but it wasn't necessarily a cliff. And when he looked down to one side, what he saw was essentially a never-ending hole, that it was best categorized as an abyss.
Yeah.
And he was on this platform and he looked down to one side and saw that. But then when he looked up at what was ahead of him, he described the four-walled city where the walls were built out of bricks that were made of love, which categorically is difficult to explain.
Yes. Yeah.
And he started describing the fact that this four-walled city had 12 gates. So what he's describing is the New Jerusalem from Revelation.
Yeah.
But he grew up Muslim. So he's describing something that's in the book of Revelation, in the Christian Bible, that
he wouldn't have a reference to.
He would have no reference to.
Yeah.
And that was what he experienced in this near-death experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
So and so he what happens with him is he starts trying to find that feeling again. And he ends up going to, like, his daughter has this play or this production or something that happens to be at a church. And when he goes to that church, he walks in and all of a sudden he feels that feeling of what he experienced in his near-death experience.
Yeah.
And he looks around and he realizes that what's going on in there is an earthly version of what he experienced in the heavenly experience.
Yeah.
And so then he comes to know Christ.
Yeah.
And so it's this.
That's cool.
And that's one of
That's
those.
cool.
Yeah, that's one of those things where it's like this is a near-death experience of somebody who didn't have that worldview,
Yeah.
who had an experience of something that's literally written down in a text that he could have had but never had. He sees it
Yeah.
and then finds it on the earth and finds Jesus through it.
That's cool.
Crazy.
Yeah. And so I do want to say for the people that have opposing views to Christianity that may be listening to this.
Yeah.
Hopefully you're listening to this still. And so it's like like those stories are amazing, but it's like, okay, let's make sure we're not cherry picking.
Sure.
And I want to be very clear that I'm in my best possible approach. I'm not cherry picking anything.
Yeah.
And it doesn't diminish that story at all because it's a beautiful story.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, how common is that? I think that's one of the questions.
Sure.
And so I think it's interesting where we see 20% of people that have an NDE see Jesus specifically.
Mm.
I think that's a very important thing to recognize.
It is.
Because it's like no one is reporting that they're seeing Krishna, or no one's reporting that they're seeing Muhammad.
Yeah.
So here's Jesus.
In NDEs.
Yes, in NDEs.
Sometimes they do on hallucinogens.
Yes.
Which
are separate. That's more out of body.
Right.
So this is a separate. That's where I was like, let's make sure we have these distinctions, and it'll become more appropriate later.
Right.
Toward the end of this, but it's like, okay, so I think that's important though, because if we take the worldly perspective that Jesus is just a prophet,
okay,
how come no one reports seeing these other prophets from these other religions?
Right.
But they see Jesus specifically.
Yeah.
And I say specifically because there are key identifiers, like people will report seeing nail-scarred hands, or he'll say, "I'm Jesus."
Right. Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And now, to be fair, a lot of times these reports are from Christians.
Yeah.
More commonly.
Yeah.
But not just from Christians.
Sure.
That see specific Jesus. And these stories and reports that I've been looking at and these researchers are doing are from all parts of the world, all backgrounds, and all religions.
Okay.
And still 1 out of 5 people.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Significant.
Yeah.
But so I think as Christians first,
yeah,
I think what we need to do when we approach this conversation is what we've attempted to do in this podcast is let's set the framework.
Okay.
So as we approach this conversation, continue to approach this conversation.
Yeah.
It's like, let's look at, okay, what's the framework of who God is and how God operates?
Yeah.
You know, the question of how again.
Right.
Because, and this is why I say that first, because a lot of times, this is very common that we see from NDE experiencers, which is kind of saying the same thing twice.
Yeah.
Is they'll say, oh, religion doesn't matter. Or, that's not like, forget religion.
Right.
Or we're all one. Or
oh, I see.
They'll say things like this.
Yeah.
Or everyone is going to heaven. Sometimes we'll even see that. Now, some of those statements aren't consistent with the data, which we'll go into later.
Okay.
Those are kind of sometimes more anomalous.
Yeah.
But the sad part is a lot of people don't say, what do you mean by that? Because we're just getting these reports and no one's like, define what you mean.
Sure. Yeah.
Except there is a study that was done, I think it was in the 70s.
Okay.
By a professor at Emory.
Okay.
So pretty well known guy.
Sounds right.
Or pretty reliable person.
Sounds like a study they do in the 70s.
Yeah, absolutely. They did some weird stuff in the 70s.
Yeah. Well, they had to figure out what happened in the 60s.
That's true. I love that.
The 60s was experimentation and the 70s was research.
Yeah. And so there were several people that did a similar study.
Yeah.
But they asked the question, what is the outcome?
Okay.
And I think that's important for, okay, these people that are going through this and having these experiences and saying these things, what's the long-term outcome of what they've experienced?
Right.
And regardless if they had a distressing experience or a positive experience, the most of them will turn to Christianity into more traditional belief in God.
As a result.
Yeah, long-term down the road, which I think is very interesting.
Yeah.
It's very telling.
Yeah.
To what's happening here. And so...
so you're saying over half?
Yeah. Yeah, majority.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Which, yeah, that's a very interesting thing, right?
So, yeah, because that's, like, even in the story that I mentioned, it was more of, like, he was searching for a feeling because he couldn't really describe everything.
Yeah.
And so that is one of those things. It's like, if over half of these people are eventually turning to Christianity, they're doing a similar thing, which is, I had this very specific experience of what happens after all this, or what is going on after all this, or what's going on right now during this. And as they do that, the conclusion that they come to in a majority is that Christianity has the feeling of what is going on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which I feel like is an important distinction.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that's where there's one story in particular that I want to bring up.
Yeah.
And that actually will lead into where I'm coming to here. It was a story I read from NDEs. It was one of the credible ones they have listed there.
Okay.
And so this guy, he was an atheist. I believe his NDE was back in like the 70s or the 80s. I want to say it was the 80s.
Gotcha.
And so this guy's an atheist.
Okay.
He would report like, oh, I'd have these like coughing fits at night. And he's like, and oftentimes like when I start doing that, it'd wake me up and I just sit up and then like within a few minutes it would go away and I go back to sleep.
Yeah.
He said this one night it started happening and it just kept happening. And he's like, I didn't want to wake up my wife because she has trouble sleeping anyway. So I'm like, I don't want to mess her sleep schedule up for this.
Yeah.
And then he's like, and then out of nowhere he started to panic. He's like, oh, this is a real one.
Yikes.
Well, when that happened, he was about to wake his wife up and he heard a voice, a female voice, he said, that was like, oh, don't do that. Like, let go.
Whoa.
And so instantly he was like, I was looking at my own body.
Yeah.
And I saw these two beings in the room that were like this blue, glowing blue figures.
Okay.
He said, not really human form.
Yeah.
But then there was also this weird like blue shape that he said looked like a portal.
Gotcha.
And then he was like, the creature was like, okay, are you ready? He's like, yeah. He's like, I don't know where we're going.
3, 2, 1.
You ready? So he said he was then taken to a place that he's like, there was no sun. Okay. But everything was lit.
Wow.
And we'll get into the significance of that here in a minute too.
Yeah.
And so he's like, and then I was looking around. I was like, he's like, I asked the creature, the guide that was with me, I asked him like, am I in heaven? And he said, yeah, this is part of what you would call heaven.
Wow.
And he's like, oh. He's like, well, does that mean God's real?
That's crazy.
And the creature is like, yeah, God's real, basically. But then the interesting statement was like, but it's not really the religion that you teach. It's a different kind of thing.
Huh. Okay.
He didn't exactly say. I'm trying to remember exactly the words.
Yeah.
But essentially, he's like, wait. So if God's real and heaven's real, does that mean Jesus is real? And he said instantly he was taken to this wooden cabin. He was inside this cabin.
Weird.
And he's like, so I was there. He's like, and I looked at the wood, and he's like, I'm a carpenter. And he's like, the wood looked cool. He's like, so in his head, he was like, I want to get closer to that wood. And he's like, instantly I was like right up on the wood looking at it.
Oh, weird.
And he said it was weird because it started to separate the fibers, and they were like strings of light.
Oh.
He's like, but then I heard someone come into the cabin.
Yeah.
And I turned to look, and it was this human, like this man type figure that walked in.
Yeah.
He's like, who are you? And he said, oh, I'm Jesus. I heard you were asking about me.
That's crazy. I wish he would have said, I'm the carpenter you seek.
Yeah. But it's like, that's one of those interesting things so here's an atheist.
Yeah.
Who's having this whole experience, and he's describing things that we see in the Bible.
Yeah.
And he's like, is Jesus real? And Jesus is like, heard you were asking about me.
And then boom, I'm at his cabin.
Boom. And so here's the thing that can be kind of frustrating, I think, for maybe the more reformed Christians out of us.
Okay.
And it's like, well, why don't these people get a straight answer? Why doesn't God just tell them?
Okay.
Like, here's your systematic theology.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of times when people experience this, a lot of the religions, like especially Eastern religions,
Mhm.
where you would expect to see a more distant God, which is what they teach, something
Okay.
that's a little bit more distant, in this process of reincarnation. It's like we actually don't see that through these stories. It's an anomalous experience,
Yeah.
and it's an unreliable experience where a lot of times these people are trying to like sell a book or sell a course.
Sure.
But through the core of these stories, like they experience a very personal God who cares about them, and they feel that care.
Yeah.
That's one of the like most common things that they'll say when they feel, whether they see a being or not.
Right.
They say that they feel this overwhelming love and care for them.
Yeah.
Like something is actually caring about them.
That makes sense.
And some of them even gone as far as saying like they were the only one.
Yeah.
It's like that's very consistent with who God is.
Sure. It is. Yeah.
Yeah, and so what's interesting though, because I brought up, and this is why I think this story, I believe the guy's name is Lewis.
Okay.
And hopefully he
I
doesn't
don't
mind
know
me
him.
saying that, but I don't know him either. I just read a story.
Yeah.
The other thing that is talked about is there's like this guide creature with him, and there's also another creature who's like writing stuff down.
Okay.
And these are, again, like I'll go into these verses here, but it's like these are things that we see in Scripture
Yeah.
where I didn't say this at the front, so I'll say it now. When we look at out of body experiences,
Yeah.
because people do often say they experience something that's very comforting,
Sure.
but it's not something that we should seek,
Okay.
but in our own strength.
Right.
And the reason for that is because we aren't supposed to be disembodied. And
Correct.
that's not a teaching of Scripture.
Right.
And that's where it's like we simplify things for theology, even though it's not really good theology.
Yeah.
And one of them is saying that we're going to go to heaven as a disembodied spirit. It's like, well, that's not true.
Right.
Where are we going to? We're going to get a new body.
Yes.
We're going to go to a new earth.
Yes.
Like that's where we're supposed to be.
Yeah, and Jesus clearly, again, back to the Hebrew understanding, he shows us how.
Yeah.
He shows us how we're going to do that,
Yes.
which is wild.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but
And so what's cool about that is when we see these NDEs,
yeah.
the people that
But real quick, by the way,
Yeah.
it's not a problem to me that the angelic beings in this story, Lewis's story, whoever Lewis is,
CS. No.
it's not a problem to me that the beings say, yeah, not exactly like the religions that you have,
Yeah.
or when he talks to
Oh, I
Jesus
remember what he
as
said.
well.
He was saying that religion is man-made. That's the words he used.
Right.
And that's a very important distinction.
It is, and it's
Yeah.
also not a problem to me because it's
Not at all.
like how
It
you
shouldn't be.
how you said it's like that's the Reformed camp or whatever camp. It's like we need systematics for that and
Yeah.
different things like that. It's like not really, because technically the systematics is how we organize the unseen realm,
Yeah.
which is what we've talked about. It's like we're just trying to make sure we have everything in order.
Mm-hmm.
So like there's no problem with doing that. That's the
Yeah.
whole point of theology.
Yeah.
Is like we're just trying to figure out, like we need to make sure our calendar's in place. Like
Yeah.
we need to make sure we know when we're supposed to be where for what event. It's
Mhm.
like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like to me that's actually what systematics
Absolutely.
is let me organize my life around the gospel.
Yeah.
But in the new heavens and the new earth, in the reality in new in the new heavens and the new earth, and even in how we see Eden laid out in Genesis, there isn't systematics. It's an ever-present reality.
Right.
So theology
Yeah.
is existence.
Mm-hmm.
It's not study of God, it's communion with God.
Yeah.
So communion
Yeah.
with God needs no theology.
Yeah.
And that's why there's also the fallacy of like it's not religion, it's a relationship.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, both things are true. Like
Yeah.
you still that could just be an excuse for you not to organize your life.
Absolutely.
And an excuse for you to maybe not be legalistic, which you may have a tendency towards. And so you throw it out altogether.
Yeah.
And then you have this then you start to have this theology and this faith that is actually closer to New Age because you're trying to actively have out-of-body experiences, which you're not supposed to do.
It's in contrast to what we were created to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's why like extremes and like hyper versions of different theologies and practices, and in prayer and in worship and different things like that, anytime you're trying to exit your body to be present with the Lord, the way that many people through the Bible were, if you're doing it on your own, what you're doing is inherently demonic.
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, and so I think that's why it's important for these, when we look at these stories, especially the people that report a guide or like a loved one who's there, it's like they're there to protect you.
Right.
When the angels are there, when you're in the presence of this light being who oftentimes identifies himself as I am he who is, or I am that I am, it's like, well, that's Yahweh.
Yeah.
It's like, well, why is that important that they have these experiences? Because you're in a space you're not supposed to be in.
Right.
And so you need to be protected in that space.
Yeah.
But the people that oftentimes have a more distressing experience, there's no one there to protect them.
And that makes
they're
sense.
left in a space where they're on their own.
So it's less of what they see.
Yeah.
And more of the comfort of a guide.
Yes.
Which is super interesting.
It's very interesting.
Because that makes sense here on earth as well. It's like, if you have the Holy Spirit guiding you through the world, then the result is peace.
Yeah.
But if you don't have the Holy Spirit guiding you through the world, then the result is chaos and anguish. Yeah. And so the same is true on the other side of the veil.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which...
Well, I think it's interesting, and this is how I'm going to attempt to explain this part, because I think the other interesting part about that, and was what you brought up and are emphasizing, is this idea of religion and relationship. Right. Because I cringe every time I hear it's relationship, not religion. Because it's okay, hold on, let's pause. Yeah. So based on, and so that's the follow-up to a lot of these people that say, oh, religion doesn't matter. Right. Well, what do you mean by that? Right. And because we see, as we've said from those studies, like, what's the outcome? Yeah. The outcome is they end up in a religion. Right. And it's oftentimes Christianity. Yeah. So it's like, okay, well, what happened there? Well, what they're saying is, religion isn't what saves you. It's a relationship with the Lord. Right. That's the important thing. Yes. And so religion is a tool that we use to help us in that. Yeah. It helps us also get to know more. It's kind of like, I have conversations with you. We have a relationship. Yeah. And I get to know you through that relationship. Right. And people watching this podcast know about us. Right. Because they hear from us. Yeah. They're getting our material. Yeah. But they don't know us. Sure. You know what I mean? So it's like religion helps us get to know about God, but it doesn't help us know God. Yeah. Yeah. That's true. I like that. Yeah, thanks. So I think we should... I want to anchor this in some verses. Well, I was going to say, I think we should wrap up this introduction to this idea. Yeah, which I knew it would be. Yeah. Yeah. And then, because I feel like all the way through this episode, we've just been saying, so this is to what we're going to say later, to what we're going to say later. Yeah. Which will have to just be next episode. It probably will. Yeah. Because there are like two key stories, I feel like. Yes. That I want to go through. Yeah. And I definitely have a lot more that I'd love to spend time on. Yeah. But I do want to say this, kind of put like a little bit of a bow on this. And this is the through line of the message that I want to come across in this is, so what does this teach us about God? Okay. I think that's the question. Yeah. Because it's like, okay, so I'm arguing, and I think both of us are arguing, it's like, these are real experiences that fit in the framework of Christianity. Right. They teach a biblical truth. Yes. So what is that truth? Right. Well, I think it's important, and it's interesting that these people experience love and comfort, but these people aren't dying. Right. I mean, they are dying, but they're not dead. Yeah. They end up surviving. They're experiencing death without dying. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that is a key factor of who God is, in that He knows, like, they're not going to die. I see what you're saying. Yeah. And so, well, what is He leaving these people with? Yeah. And actually, we didn't even get into the life review side, which we will get into that probably in another episode. Okay. But I want to bring up 2 Peter 3:9. Okay. Because I always got to anchor in the Bible. We always have to do that. Yes. Yes, we do. It says that the Lord is not slow to fulfill His promise, as some count as slowness, but is patient toward you, not wishing that any should perish, but that all should reach repentance. So what do we see in these positive stories? It's like, well, we see that God acts in kindness toward us.
Yeah.
He there's plenty more to kind of go into some of these details of what people are seeing, but I'll save that for another time.
Yeah.
Because there's plenty of scripture to back up what these people are saying and seeing.
Sure.
That are very biblical.
Yeah.
And they're describing these biblical scenes. But the most important thing in this, and as we continue this conversation, is God is saying, I want you to seek me.
Mm.
And so let me show you who I am.
Yeah.
And I'm a personal God who loves you and cares about you.
Yes.
And I'm not going to just give you this systematic theology and say, like, yeah, I'm real and worship me. Cool, done.
Yeah.
Because if he wanted that, we wouldn't have free will.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
It's like, well, what does he want? He's wanted the same thing from the beginning. He wants a family. He wants a relationship with us.
Mm.
And so you don't get that by forcing people to just do these things for you.
Yeah.
But instead, he shows how he loves us. He shows how he's faithful.
Yeah.
And how he's merciful, but also how he's just.
Mm.
And so when people leave and they say, oh, religion's not important.
Yeah.
Well, they're right.
Yeah.
Because what did they learn? Well, they learned that I need to seek this relationship with this God.
Right. Yeah, and then religion on the earth is a framework in order to help you continue to do that.
Absolutely.
And in some ways, community, like the idea of the gathering of the saints, which Paul talks about to the church at Ephesus, that idea is like, well, then I don't need to go to church. That's actually not true. Like, unfortunately, not all church is set up for the gathering of the saints. Some churches set up to put on a show. But the reality is like, if a church is set up, which I just saw this the other day, I saw a church that's in South Florida that over the door as you walk into their sanctuary, it says for the equipping of the saints for the work of the ministry. And it's like, man, that's awesome.
I love that.
Because that's literally what the church gathering is.
Yeah.
The church gathering is to go like, all right, listen, when you get married or when you're in a relationship or when you start something new or like whatever it is, at the beginning, there's all these things to be interested in.
Yeah.
But then there comes a threshold where those things aren't sustaining you anymore and you need other people to help you give deeper meaning and value to what is going on in the decisions that you've made.
Yeah.
So like if you choose a relationship with a spouse, then you need people around you to encourage you to keep going when there are things in that relationship that when you get to a certain point, you're like, the harder things are outweighing the good things right now. And it's like, so do I bail? No, you don't. You persevere, right? Yeah. And that's why Paul uses that language of perseverance.
Yeah.
And the gathering of the saints and to gather all the more as the day approaches, so that we can stir each other up in our faith, remind each other of the faithfulness of God. That is in the overarching framework of religion is things like liturgical practices or going to church is basically what I'm saying. So like going to church is important, not because church is what saves you, but church is what encourages you in your salvation. Yeah. So
well, I mean, even thinking about it in a more like in a practical sense of relationships with each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Is well, okay, so if I'm talking to someone and we have an argument.
Right.
I'm like, I'm wrestling with this idea about this person because of this thing that I'm seeing.
Sure.
Well, should I be like, all right, I'm out, this relationship's over? I could do that.
Yeah.
Or I could be like, let me go to someone who knows them a little bit better or just know them longer and be like, hey, this is what I'm seeing. Can you help me understand this?
Yeah.
And be like, oh, yeah, actually, I can explain that for you.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, okay, that's what I needed. Like, that's the communion of the saints. That's church.
Yes.
Is, hey, you know him a little bit longer than I do. You have a relationship with him a lot longer. So help me with these questions.
Yeah.
And maybe I've seen a side of him that you haven't seen.
Right.
So let me explain that to you.
Yeah.
And let's build each other up in this relationship that we're having.
Yeah.
And in that, it's like, we create these frameworks that help us, one, to remember, because our memory sucks.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
We're terrible at remembering things.
For sure.
And that's why God often always says, do this in remembrance to me because you're going to forget.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's the beauty of religion. It helps us remember,
Yeah.
and it helps us keep track of things. But the relationship is the actual most important core piece.
Right.
And religion is a tool that helps us in that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's the whole thing that the framework is built around.
Yes. Yeah.
So, and if you take the heart out of it, then the framework there's no purpose for it.
Right.
Right. Yeah. It's almost like if you build a building that's supposed to house a business, but then the business goes away and the building is still there. What's the purpose of the building? And that's the whole thing with, like, if you build a religion around a purpose, but then the purpose goes away, then all you have is an empty building of a religion that's pointless. So, like, that is kind of the tough thing. But maybe we should we need to do a follow-up episode of this one. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to go through and hit major biblical stories that are potential NDE experiences.
I'd love that.
So this is a setup to the next episode, which is basically like, let's look at all the potential like near-death experiences in the Bible.
Yeah. And
if they were or weren't, and what those resulted in the process.
Yeah, I love that.
And maybe a way that we potentially haven't thought about these stories in the past.
Yeah, I think that's great.
So the question is, do NDEs prove universalism?
And the short of it is what they often prove and what they often show is that there is a personal God who does care about you, and he wants you to seek him, and he wants you to wrestle with these questions, just as we see with Job.
Yeah.
And so that's what we need to do.
Yeah. And the majority of them point specifically to the God of Christianity.
Yeah. And so it's important for us then is, if that's true, what does he say?
Right. 3, 2, 1. Just go like this.
No. Stop editing. Stop.
Stop editing.